Welcome to the Estate Professionals Mastermind Podcast, a podcast for estate professionals who earn more, work less, and make a huge difference in their communities. If you get value out of this free content, be sure to check out probatemastery.com, where you can get live classes, access to weekly coaching, and valuable courses. To learn more, visit probatemastery.com. Now let's jump into this week's content. So welcome to the Estate Professionals Mastermind. This is our weekly coaching call. We do this every Tuesday at 11 o'clock Pacific time, 2 o'clock Eastern time. So if you are listening after the fact and you'd like to come live and ask your questions next time, we want to hear from you. We do it live on Zoom, and you guys are looking at our crew for the day. If you're here and you've been here before, welcome again. If you've never been here before, this is kind of a live Q&A session, a little bit of coaching, some questions and answers, pretty much all surrounding the estate and the probate niche. So all of us on here are real estate professionals, investors, real estate agents, and we're building a service to help families that navigate the probate process, clearly with the end result for our business typically resulting in a real estate listing, real estate clients, real estate purchase opportunities, and that's what we're here to discuss today. So what I want to do is just encourage those of you guys that are here. If you have questions, if you have wins and successes, or you want to talk about different topics, raise your hand. We'll call on you and kind of go into a discussion. I want to go to some of my fellow coaches here because I've got a bunch of other coaches and folks that have been around who has something that they want to start with. And if you do, go ahead and mute yourself. If you're a coach, unmute yourself. If you're not a coach, pop your hand up. We'll call on you. I just want to avoid 18 people talking on top of each other. And if I don't get anything, I'm going to start with follow-up. So I don't see anybody, so let me go ahead and
Hey, I
start.
could.
Courtney, go
Oh,
for it, man.
oh yeah, well, yeah. Hey, Bruce. Last week we talked about it briefly, and is how having conversations with people who aren't necessarily the personal representative, and just the importance of not avoiding those phone numbers, and because there could be some gold, there can be opportunities to connect with someone who can make a decision about whether they need help listing the property. So. I thought that was awesome. We worked on it this morning, and uh, yeah, I've had some nice success. But I thought some of the conversations I've been having with folks, that's something that's come up.
That's outstanding, man. Yeah, that's so true. A lot of times we ignore all those additional contacts and additional potential relatives because we're worried, like, what am I supposed to say to these people I'm calling? And they might not even be involved. And one of the things I like to do with them, and Courtney, I don't know what your approach to those people is going to be, but my approach is normally going to be this was about an estate. I don't know if you're involved. Could you tell me what involvement you have, or if maybe I should be talking to another person and get them to talk about that? And sometimes I might even lead with real estate, but they a lot of times because they're not the person receiving all the calls. A lot of times they're almost more willing to talk than the personal representative in the beginning.
Very true. Yeah, and I also found I was starting to notice that uh, not only they're more open to talk at times if you know you're approaching it from a hey, yeah, just see, I'm not even sure if I have the right information here. But they also, once you are able to get the contact information or have that set up, they've set you up. They're like edifying you. So you already have like it's almost like a warm referral. I mean, not the exact same, but you know, you already
Hmm.
have nephew John or brother Tommy or whoever on almost on your side to help them see if you can support the client. So yeah.
Right. Yep. I was on a coaching call this morning, and while we're on the coaching call, the it was a team that I was coaching, and one of them said, "Hey, I'll be right back." Put themselves on mute, answered the phone, and it was a personal representative that they'd been trying to get for several weeks, and they'd called and called and called, and they finally got a hold of a sister of the personal representative, and the sister said, "Hey, a lot of times she doesn't even respond to my text messages and my voicemails, so I get it." And this is what the sister's saying, not the personal representative. She said, "We're probably going to sell the house. Let me text her and tell her that she needs to talk to you." And within a day, he's getting a call because the sister edified him and said, "Hey, you need to talk to
Oh,
this guy. It's about the house," and they came back to him. So
great.
those family members can be great relationships to build. Let's go to Arthur. Arthur, what do you have for us today?
Um, Hello, this is my first time.
Welcome.
Um, well, thank you. Just finished the E.A.R.N. course, okay. Um, and I feel as if I'm in a unique situation, but I may not be. So if it's all right, before I ask the question, can I just describe the environment that I am in? Would that
Yeah,
be
go
okay?
for it.
Just to put it
Yeah.
context. Okay. Well, I'm on Cape Cod, which I don't know, most people at least have heard of Cape Cod. Um, but as I say, it feels different to me. It's a peninsula. It's not a cape. We always kid it's the most famous misnamed peninsula. Um, and you know what a peninsula is? A thin piece of land that sticks out into the water.
Hmm.
Which means where I'm sitting right now at my house, if I go a mile and a half in one direction, I run into Cape Cod Bay, and I go a mile and a half in the other direction, I run into um, the ocean. So if you drew a 20-mile circle around me, you'd have more striped bass in it than you'd have people.
Hey, that's my kind of place.
I love it. There's a reason I live here. Okay,
Yeah.
but but that means a few things. It means that you don't necessarily have that much population because it's mostly water.
Hmm.
Okay. The second thing is the town that I live in, 60% of the homes are second homes.
Yep.
Okay. So that's a little different than most places. Our average price is about 1.2 million. So that's probably different than many places. Um, the and I feel like those things work against us. A couple of things that work for us is that when someone dies and they leave it to their kids, quite often their kids in Houston, Texas. They're not here, if you know what I'm saying. They're usually familiar with you because they've come and visited mom and dad or whatever, but they're not necessarily on Cape Cod, and they're not necessarily even in Boston, which is the nearest city. And so they tend to need help. You know, they can't do it themselves, so that would be an advantage. The other thing that's different, before I get to my question, is our attorneys are different. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
Uh, they don't normally wear suits. Okay. Which, you know, when I go other places, quite often they're wearing suits. On Cape Cod, there's a good chance they're not wearing a suit. They might be, but a good chance they're not. If they're going to court, they wear a suit. But if you catch them in the office, they're probably not.
Okay.
Um, but catching them in the office is difficult. You know, when I used to call on attorney offices in a city, and I walked in, there was always a receptionist, there were always offices, people were always in those offices. Here, you walk in, the door's locked with a sign, you know, we'll be
I'm on a
back
boat.
yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And so so walking in doesn't work. Well, I say it doesn't work. It, if you catch it right, it might work, but you can't count on it. Calling doesn't particularly work. You're usually leaving a message and asking them to call back, and they don't always call back because they don't necessarily know why they're calling back. You know, I
Yeah.
mean,
Absolutely.
um, uh, and um, and so does that give a good description of kind of
Sure.
what? Okay.
Yeah.
First of all, am I correct that that is different than what most people are dealing with?
I'd say that's different than 90% of people are dealing with. However, even in markets that are different than that, there's going to be those types of attorneys and there are going to be those types of situations. But there's still a lot of coastal areas that are loaded with second homes and a lot of people having a lot of success in those markets. The attorney approach might be a little bit different and the clientele that you're calling might be a little bit different. And I would imagine in your area, you probably have a lot of trusts as well. So properties and estates that might not be going through probate. But
Um,
regardless,
yeah.
they still have to get through an estate settlement process and still have to do something. So I think what you're describing makes your market a little bit different, but certainly not um, something that's going to hurt you.
Oh no, I did not feel as if any of those things meant it was a bad market. It
Hmm.
just meant that there might have to be a different way to crack it.
Sure.
That's all. The other thing I forgot to mention is that our biggest estate attorney um, had three probates last month.
Hmm. Okay.
Okay, only four attorneys on Cape Cod had more than one.
Okay.
And so there's no, I hear these stories, when I'm listening to, your different YouTube videos and stuff of people walking into an office and, they end up with 11 referrals in the next month, from one attorney law firm. I
Hmm.
mean, we'd have to have 11 law firms to get 11 referrals in a month.
I bet I bet there are a lot of attorneys in Boston that have clients on Cape Cod, though.
There are some,
Yeah.
okay. Wait a second. Let me reword that. They probably are a lot.
Hmm.
Here's what's the difference, though. Um, that if we go to the Barnstable County, Cape Cod is Barnstable County. It's one county, the whole Cape, which is 90 miles long, by the way. Okay, just to again put it in perspective, 3 miles wide, 90 miles long. I will see some of the probates that happen inside Barnstable County have an outside attorney, but it's not that common. Now, what will happen, but I have no evidence of this, but I know it happens, is there's going to be the person who didn't live in Barnstable County. You quite often people will move here after they retire. They'll have had it as a second home for 10 or 15 years, and then when they retire, they'll either sell that home and buy the home down here that they're going to retire to, or they'll just retire to what was their second home. But there are definitely people dying north of Boston who have a summer house on Cape Cod, but we wouldn't necessarily know about them by looking at the probates in Barnstable County.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yep. Yep.
And I
Um,
don't know an easy way to figure that out.
I would go pre-probate. Pre-probate will very frequently be tied to a property address. And so I would look at that. I would look, which are often going to look at newspapers. Um, I would look for those. I would also look for filings where um, there may be a filing in the paper, basically a notice to creditors and a notice to heirs. Um, Now, I would just kind of deal with the fact that you're not gonna have visibility on every record unless you start getting into Boston or something like that. You're not gonna have visibility. There's plenty of records that you won't have visibility on. And I would just kind of deal with that fact and take the leads that I was able to get, make sure that I did slowly build the relationship with the attorneys. Um, and then I would probably also look at pre-probate with the understanding that you're going to get eyes on more estates than you will if you're waiting on probate records. And a lot of those estates will not need to go through probate. So those estates are going to be estates that you probably wouldn't have gotten visibility into had you not looked at a pre-probate record.
Unless it was through the attorney, because the attorney, even if it's
Correct.
not probate, the attorney might still be um, helping with the
Absolutely.
rules of the estate. All right. Is there a service that you'd recommend for getting probate
Yeah. So
information?
alltheleads.com, I think has the best pre-probate data. Pre-probate data is never the most accurate data that's out there. There is no public record. And so you're kind of scraping the online services to pull those. But I think ATL or alltheleads.com has great pre-probate. There's also US probate leads that has good inheritance data. Inheritance data is going to give you some pretty good visibility into properties on Cape Cod that have been inherited. It's normally about 90 days after some kind of a title transfer has been triggered. So it's not super early in the process. But it's
Well,
still going
and
to give you visibility that would have been hard to get through probate.
yeah, I mean, and in fact, I mean, it may not have a change until it's been sold.
Hmm. Um, Possibly not. Yeah. So inheritance data is good. It's just not going to be fresh.
Right.
But it is going to give you access to things that other people are missing and you would have missed otherwise. Pre-probate data is going to give you good, affordable records with properties and estates that may or may not even end up going through probate. You're going to be calling people early, though. Just recognize a couple of weeks after a loss can sometimes be a little bit more raw, so treat it appropriately. I'm not saying don't
Well,
call them, but adjust your approach accordingly.
right, which actually leads me into my specific question.
Hmm.
So, dealing with all the anomalies I described, I was thinking that putting together the vendor group would probably be a good asset to have for dealing with having to call people early and for getting more people on my team. I'll say. Um, and then it occurred to me that we have, not surprisingly, a lot of assisted living facilities.
Hmm.
Now, obviously, quite often real estate's involved at that point.
Yep.
You know, okay, so I was wondering if I should put some emphasis rather than getting to know attorneys, if I started to get to know the assisted living um, um, facilities and the other vendors that would deal with the clean outs of houses and stuff like that. Um, that also will give me more leverage with the attorneys. Like I was talking to one assistant person, and I don't know how these things even happen, but they would love to have an estate planning attorney come and give a talk,
Yeah.
and but no one's ever approached them. I mean, I
Leverage.
will,
I love it. Yeah. You've got your
yeah,
leverage right there.
I suspect if I call a estate planning attorney who is also usually a probate attorney
Hmm.
and say, "Hey, I was down at Maplewood. I do a lot of business with people at Maplewood, and they're looking for an attorney to give an estate planning attorney. Please give me a call, and I can give you the details." I suspect I'd get a call back.
Yeah. I, I would almost guarantee it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's put it this way: if they didn't call me back, I probably don't want to be working with that attorney.
Yeah, I would say that you probably attorneys still kind of have a BS meter. Sometimes it's not accurate. We're not BSing them, but they do recognize that when a real estate person, agent, or investor calls them, they do recognize that there's likely something that we want in return, and so they are probably gonna skew toward being a little bit resistant or hesitant to call us, even if it's for a great reason. Courtney Rollins and I called an attorney a couple of weeks ago, and the guy took 5 days to call us back, not because he's a bad attorney, but we're real estate guys. And he was a little bit slow to call back. It's like, even though we had this really good potential juicy referral for him, he's not jumping on it because guess what? It's kind of obvious that we're in real estate. So I wouldn't immediately judge the attorney that's slow to call you back. However, anytime you can call them with a reason that's not, you don't know me, I'm asking for your referrals, they're going to be more likely to engage with you faster.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the God, how to say it? Oh, well, if I was doing the vendor group, and do we have a training on how to put together a vendor group? There's been a lot of discussions in
Yeah.
between other things, but I haven't been able to find, one 45-minute training on how to put together the vendor group. What people you want in it,
Yeah.
how to brand it, that type of stuff. Does that exist?
So it exists at a granular level inside of Probate Mastery, and at a high 30,000 foot view level, which is about all you need. It exists on several different YouTube workshops. I'm just looking. Lou is in here. Lou, go to our mini workshops in probatemastery.com and see if there's one for vendors. Um,
Okay.
I've had several different things. We'll post it inside of the Estate Professionals Mastermind Facebook group when we
Yeah, I
find a
posted a
couple of
question there.
resources for that.
I posted a question there yesterday, I believe, asking if anyone knew of anything, and I have not gotten an answer. So,
Yeah. We'll
um,
we'll look it up and post it in there. We'll give a response in there. Same goes for anyone else looking to build their vendor group.
okay.
There are definitely trainings and times that we've discussed that.
Oh, I have found plenty of points where it's discussed, but it's always a piece here, a piece there. It's not a here's the process, if
So
that
here's the
makes sense.
thing. The process, there's a lot of ways to go about the process. So I'll talk about it here really quickly, and then if it's okay with you, we can discuss offline. I'll go to some of the other questions, but
Sure.
in a little bit of detail, when you're building a vendor group, there are a lot of ways to do it. So the first thing you want to do is identify your core list of vendors. So attorneys, plural, estate sale company or two or three, however many there are in your area, you want a relationship with them. Property clean out crews, all the contractors that you can think of. So everyone from a handyman to a GC and all the specialty tradesmen, roofers and HVAC technicians and plumbers. So make a list. Locksmiths, um, insurance agents, nursing home administrators, assisted living administrators, and they don't all go by these terms, but
Right.
whoever's responsible for filling the assisted living facility or nursing home. And then after that, the sky's the limit because you'll be on an appointment in 10 years having done hundreds of probate and estate transactions, and someone will say, hey, I need this, and you're going to go, I can't believe no one's ever asked me for that before. Happens to me
Right.
pretty frequently. Can't believe no one's ever asked me. But the ones that I just gave you are kind of your core people. Financial advisors would be another core person. Um, and remember, one of the reasons that you're cold calling these vendors to build relationships, one of the reasons is because a lot of times that vendor has a relationship and their relationship is your path to a relationship with that other person. So just like you mentioned with the assisted living, I think wanting an estate planning attorney, I think that's what it was that you said. I
Yeah.
use financial advisors for the same thing. I use a plumber to get my electrician, an electrician to get my HVAC person. So these relationships don't exist on an island. They are your path to the additional relationships. And I would just get as many people onto that list as possible, um, and never quit growing it. You can do that through networking. You can do BNI networks. Um, a lot of people here are in those. A lot of people in here have outgrown those and go, hey, I have better things to do than go sit in a networking event every week. It's totally fine. You can post on social media and say, hey, I need a person that does this. I love community groups for that reason. Frequently, I'll go into the community group. Let's say it's a yard sale group, and I'll say, hey, I need I need a financial advisor that deals with inherited real estate. And I'll get a list of 20 different financial advisors. And then I'll call and I'll just have a conversation with all of them. I'll probably come out with two or three people that I've had a great conversation with that would be more than interested in being in my network. Now, I don't want to have 20 of them in my network, but I want to pick the top few that I can start to build that relationship around. Okay. So, as far as building your vendor network, it shouldn't be overly complicated. And just because you can't think of a reason that you're going to use someone doesn't mean that you shouldn't put them in your network.
Sure.
They're going to be a benefit to your business in a lot of other ways too. I've got a mechanic that I refer. I don't refer that person very often. I have a car buyer that I refer. Uh, I don't have an art dealer, but I've got someone at a pawn shop that I send people to occasionally, and it's not always in probate. So just continue to build that network out, even if you can't see how it's going to connect to probate today. It'll probably
Okay.
eventually connect.
Great.
Yep.
All right.
Perfect.
Thank,
All right.
thank you.
Thanks, Arthur. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Hey, let's go to
Bye.
Joy. Hey, you are on mute. Go ahead and unmute yourself. Maybe. Still muted. There we go.
Can you guys
Okay.
see me frantically trying to find the mute button?
You're good.
So this is my first time in this well, not first, second time here. I was just wondering what the difference between you and all the leads is.
Yeah, we have a lot of close involvement with all the leads. I used to work for all the leads as well, running their coaching and training. So if you ever see like me or any of our people on the Thursday call that they have, we're guests.
Okay.
So we're kind of their preferred training referral partner, so to speak, but we're not one in the same company.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Then my next question is how would you what's the path that you tell someone to go to
With
start as a realtor in the probate space? Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
great. So you want to chop your business into baby steps. The first baby step is going to be your learning baby step. And I'm not going to go over all of them with everybody, but I'm going to give you the kind of maybe 5 or 6 core steps. So learning, I would not try to learn everything, and I want to caution not only you, Joy, but everybody here. I see people that come to every single probate mastery that we've ever done. They're on their 40th probate mastery class. And those that are in probate mastery know that it's like 15 hours long, and that's a lot of learning without a lot of doing. Okay,
Mm.
so make sure that you are learning, but you're also doing. So I would make sure to attend coaching calls for a little while. These coaching sessions, attend some role play. Take Probate Mastery if you haven't taken it. If you have, thank you. I would take that. And then I would go start doing little things as well. So you've got your learning phase. In that learning phase, you're going to go to the courthouse and you're gonna look at the application process for going through probate. You might even sit in a probate hearing, which is normally public with multiple families going through probate, just to learn a little bit about the probate process. And remember, you're not the attorney. You don't have to have an attorney's level of knowledge on the probate process. You just have to know enough to where the really rare question that pops up from a consumer, you have a basic knowledge of what they're going to go through. Basic knowledge. Okay. After that, you need to make sure that you have your leads. You can either go ahead and get your probate records before you start learning or shortly after you start learning. I prefer to have probate records coming in as I am learning. So some people wait until they've been through mastery and a couple of coaching calls before getting leads or records. So I'd get my leads. And this is where everyone's going to start to diverge a little bit. So if you listen to the all the leads approach, they say cold mail your leads and then follow up with phone call. My personal approach is call my leads, follow up with a warm or cold mailer. So after I've called for a couple of weeks, I've had some conversations, people that I've had a conversation with, I'll send them a letter that is personalized and it's warm. It's like, hey, we had a talk. Here's a recap of what I do. If they didn't answer, they get a cold mailer. Okay.
Mhm.
So call and have conversations and ultimately learn how to listen to the dialogue that they're not saying with their mouth. Read between the lines. For example, we don't know what we're going to do with the house yet means I'm selling the house in 5 months. Okay. Learn how to read between the lines and listen to what they're telling you without telling you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I would do cold calls, then do a mailer after my calls
Mm-hmm.
for a week or two. So, you call for a couple of weeks, then do some mail. After that, I'm going to go work on some vendor relationships. Okay, so Arthur was just talking about those. Some people go for their vendor relationships first. I normally go for my vendor relationships second. Vendor relationships for many people become their excuse not to prospect.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have my vendor team yet. I need 50 people on my vendor team before I'm going to feel good prospecting. Hey, that's great to have a vendor team with 50 or 100 people. It's amazing. But you don't need it before you prospect. Okay,
Yep.
so prospect first. Um, afterward, I think there's a bunch of different things that you can do. You can build websites. You can add different cold mailers. You should be doing videos so that people that you've spoken with or have gotten your letters, they can go look you up and see
Mm-hmm.
what's happening. So you should be doing videos, but there's a lot of things. I think it all boils down in the beginning to learn a little bit about the process, get your leads, make calls, send letters after the calls. Cold if they didn't answer, introductory if they didn't answer, warm recap of your conversation if they did answer, and ultimately listen to the hidden message behind what they're saying. Most people are going to say, it's too early. I don't know what's going on yet. I have everything handled. And remember, they don't have it handled. They don't know what they're going to do with real estate because they're dealing with other things. And so you don't want to necessarily take what they're telling you as the gospel truth. It's their truth today, and they're not lying. It's
Mm-hmm.
just their truth today, and their truth is going to change over time, especially if real estate's involved.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And
So
and follow up, follow up, follow up.
you guys have a Facebook group, right?
Yeah, we have two. So if you are not in Probate Mastery, the Facebook group is going to be Estate Professionals Mastermind. Estate Professionals Mastermind. For those that have taken Probate Mastery, it's Probate Mastery Alumni.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So
And
so you said probate mastery is 15 weeks?
about 15 hours.
15 hours, okay, but
About
it's
15
self-paced.
hours. So our coaching program is 16. We've got Probate Mastery. We have E.A.R.N. So E.A.R.N is a different course, and there's a lot of smaller courses as well. But the two big courses are Probate Mastery. It's about 15 hours. It's 5 sessions. E.A.R.N stands for Earn Attorney Referrals Now. That's one that Arthur mentioned that he's taking. I believe it's somewhere around 9, 10 hours long. Guys,
Okay.
don't quote me on this. Chad taught it. It's all about getting attorney relationships and referrals. Okay, so Mastery has a heavy focus on probate process and how to create relationships with the heirs and representatives of the estate,
Mm-hmm.
where E.A.R.N is all about the relationship with attorneys. So two different kind of big courses. Anyone that bundles those together gets one at half price.
Is it
Um,
self-paced?
yep, self-paced.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we have for some people that want the hand holding, you would move into a 16-week small group coaching program. And if you want even more intensive hand holding after small group coaching, you would move into one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
So we try to start people either with the courses, or if somebody wants to get courses as a part of a coaching program, we give you all the courses if you do coaching.
So how much is small group coaching?
It
You know?
depends. Yeah, it depends. So 16 weeks is typically going to run either 4 payments, or you're going to pay on a referral plan.
Mm-hmm.
So prices change a little bit. I'm not going to put it out into the world
Okay.
right now because it'll live forever and our prices are adjusting according to the demand that we have. But most people do the referral program where they pay when they close transactions.
Ah, okay. Okay. So I will know that if I get on a discovery call, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I hope that helped.
A
Okay.
lot.
Don't make it too complex. That's the big thing. The
I
folks that I
understand.
see that are in every coaching session, and I love you guys showing up over and over and over again. Makes me feel good. I'm assuming with a lot of familiar faces that you guys are learning and plugging in and doing the work. I'm assuming that. I know as many people show up to every little thing that happens. I know that there's a lot of you that are stuck in learning mode without doing. So make sure that you are mixing in a heavy dose of doing into your probate business. All right. Thanks, Joy. TJ, what's happening?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey,
I
what's
um I just wanted to kind of respond to what Arthur was talking about, specifically with attorneys.
Mhm.
I'm having a fair amount of luck. Well, I wouldn't call it luck. I'm having a fair amount of success with connecting with attorneys, and I'm doing it by I think he mentioned it is basically putting on seminars and reaching out to attorneys to help me with the seminars. So basically, bonus there, I don't really have to do any work because it's all the questions that come from the seminars are usually legal questions, and the attorney answers them. So it's really a win-win for me. But how I presented it, I send letters to attorneys. I have about a list of about 75 attorneys, give or take, that I send letters to each month. And I would say each time, I've only been doing it for about 3 months, and each month I've had one or two attorneys reach out to back out to me from it. And it really is just, it kind of states that, gives a brief description of what I do as far as the concierge service with taking care of probate personal representatives. And then I also start off the letter with, "Hey, I'm looking for somebody that I can send business to. Like, are you that attorney?"
Mhm.
And they love it. And then when I get them on the phone, I say, "Hey, I do this seminar on the regular, and I'm always looking for a different attorney with different perspectives or do a different topic." And attorneys that do it with me usually get 1 to 3, at least a will or estate planning session out of it. And I've not had one balk at it, or they don't
Yep.
even really ask many questions. They're just like, "Yeah, when? Tell me when to be there." And
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
and they send me if they have a presentation, they send me their slides, and I kind of morph it with mine. So it's really that's one of the best ways that I've found, because I've called and didn't get any callbacks, and
Mhm.
it's the best way that I've found that attorneys really respond is, you're kind of like, "Can I feature you in my seminar?" And it kind of plays to their ego a little bit, and it gets them business, and everybody's happy.
That's
So
good.
yeah.
That's good. Okay. That takes me to a topic. TJ, feel free to chime in on top of this. There are a lot of folks that I talk to about doing something comparable to what you just described. Um, whether it's seminars or talking to an attorney about looking for someone that can help your clients. Okay. You need to lead that approach with some value that you can provide to the attorney in their business. Okay, and if you have if you've talked to a personal representative that needs an attorney, great, even better. If you lead with, "Hey, I want to put on a seminar, I'm looking for an attorney that I can feature in that," great. If you lead with, "I'm getting into probate," or I'm finding a lot of my clients are settling estates and setting up wills and trusts, okay? And I'm looking for an attorney that I can work with that can be my go-to partner. Great. All those are great. They're good ways of approaching the attorney. For those of you that say, "Hey, but all I really want is the referral," okay? You're going to have a hard time breaking through with the attorney. Not impossible, but a slightly more difficult time. You need to lead with some value. For those of you that say, I feel like I'm being disingenuous, I would ask you what you did if you have a significant other, what you did to woo your significant other. Did you walk up to them and say, hey, I'm going to be honest. I'm only interested in finding someone that's going to cook and clean for me? No, no. You wooed them with some value that was hopefully good value and hopefully honest and authentic. You don't walk up and say, hey, the benefit that I'm looking for is someone to cook and clean for me. The benefit I'm looking for is for someone to earn a living so that I can sit at home. You don't present yourself that way. You present yourself as though you are bringing value to them. Now, a fringe benefit should be in any relationship that you get something out of it as well. So when you're approaching attorneys, I want you to realize that you're not being disingenuous by presenting value to them with the understanding, the internal understanding that any good two-way relationship, it's going to come back to you. You just don't lead by saying, hey, I want all your referrals. That's a way to get the door closed in your face and they'll never answer your call again. Now, I've known plenty of agents that did lead with, I want someone to send me their referrals that are getting referrals. But the odds are stacked against you if it's only referrals that you present. I only want your referrals that you present. That it's less likely that they're going to do that. So take an approach like TJ. Take an approach where you're taking clients that don't have representation. Take an approach where you say, hey, I'm finding that people are in the probate process that are my clients, and I need a good attorney that I can send them to. Take that approach, and the referrals should follow, especially if you take care of your relationship. Good. All right, guys. What else? Anybody else? Got about 20 minutes before we wrap up today.
I do have something I want to. It's something that we briefly
Go, J
said
Hope.
offline. Oh, what's
Go.
up, Panel? Panel's in here. What's going on, man?
I got an idea too that I could add after Jayhawk.
Okay, all right, cool. So, so I have a probate that's closing next week, and I have not quite met this attorney yet. And so, in your opinion, because I'm always about making sure everything feels organic and
Mhm.
not kind of forcing the relationship. But I do want to meet with the attorney. In your opinion, which is the better time to try to schedule a meet while the transaction's going on, or after it's done?
Today. Today,
Got it.
while the
Okay.
transaction is going on, even if it's simply an introduction. Hey, I know that you're working this probate. Um, I am working with the client. I just want to make sure that I don't do anything that's going to interfere with your job. Okay. And then, by the way, while I have you, is there anything that you need? I've got an open line of communication with the seller. Do you need me to tell them anything? Okay. I've asked that and I've had attorneys say, yeah, they hadn't called me back for 2 weeks. Tell them I need this. And then I tell the client gets it, and now the attorney loves me. So absolutely today or during the transaction is going to be the better time to make the approach. If you find yourself having gone through an entire closing and you don't have the relationship yet, call the week after you did the closing. That's the second best time. Good. All right. Awesome. Thanks, Johnathan, man. Appreciate it. What do you have, David, then Mike?
Yeah, just real quick, an idea that I've been thinking about and something that we all could probably work on is we train on making the phone calls, we train on sending cold letters, but is there a way that if you have all this data, you have the attorney's information, um, if you're making those phone calls, there's got to be a way, and I'm going to explore too, like Bill Gross has done, is having these attorneys chime in on different topics, but I want to focus on the frustrations of the attorney too. So, kind of like Zillow and Redfin and all these other home search sites has gotten between us and the buyer lead, and they sell the lead back to us.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we start thinking about having a system in place where we get the contact and we could find the right attorney to give the referral to. If you have 5 or 6, 7 attorneys, you know who they are, their personalities, and who the person after having a quick conversation with. So what are some quick frustrations that you may have? What do you think people going through probate or starting or searching in pre-pro? What do you think that they're gonna? What are some frustrations you think that they may run into?
It's a good question for the room. I'm going to turn it back to you. What do you
Yeah,
think the frustrations are?
um, content that goes around high if the legal fees are high in probate.
Hmm.
One that I always hear is lack of communication from the attorney because the
Hmm.
process is long. A lengthy process in probate. It could be depends on the family members and the situation and the assets, the
I'll
legal
stop. I'll
jargon.
pause you there. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm going to pause you. I want you to continue. The majority of these start as a question.
yeah,
The majority of these don't start um, as a frustration. Many of them start as a question first. You've never been through probate before, a loved one dies, you don't know what to do. You're not going to go, damn, if these attorneys weren't charging so much, because you don't know how much the attorneys are charging. You don't go, why is this
yeah.
taking too long? Because you don't know how long it's going to take. So a lot of the things that you're bringing up, I would try to get ahead of the frustration and handle those before the connection is made with an attorney and before they even have the frustration.
Good point.
Now, I would go ahead and continue. What other frustrations or questions do you think they might have?
Those are just things I wrote down real quick because I've been thinking about it and I like lead pages. I like seller lead home valuation pages. I
Hmm.
like getting I run ads for cat to buy houses for cash. Why can't we just run a why can't I, and I haven't done it, I want to build a page for that insert in between that attorney search, just like Zillow did us. I can remember I've been an agent since 2006, 2007, and there wasn't a lot of home search sites. It was realtors making their own websites
Hmm.
and getting the buyer leads. I think a great advantage of this whole process, pre-probate or probate, I really think if we could lean on how to or how to avoid type videos, we're
Yep.
going to get those people calling us way before. And then you're going to have the benefit of that relationship that early is it would be amazing.
Hmm. I just did a quick Google search for best probate attorney near me. Best pro and that I just typed in probate and basically that auto populated, which tells me that is a high search term. So if you guys want a shortcut or get in front of the attorney, because a lot of times as real estate professionals, we're way behind the attorney. Michael, I hope you're still here. I saw your hand just drop down. Sorry, we took a while to get to you. Um, so uh, we're typically way behind a search for funeral home, probate attorney, estate sale company, and I'm sure there's some others. We're normally way down the line. They're not looking for us yet, if at all. So for those of you that want to run potentially some paid ads, I would encourage you to do paid ads on Google to targeting specifically the keywords of best probate attorney near me. Now, obviously, you're not presenting yourself as a probate attorney, but why not have an ad that says inherited property? I can help, something like that. Best estate sale company. Why not have an ad that promotes top 10 estate sale companies in my area?
Yeah.
Okay, you could put ads out there because the key is catching the interest of the consumer before they know that they have an interest in what you're offering. If you can do that, you're going to have a big advantage and head start over the others. So I like where David's going with this.
It's just you're getting in that conversation before they're having the conversation, I think.
Yep.
And you're not interrupting them by, I love to make the phone call. I still do. I love to send the cold letters. But if you could generate data, yeah, this is big for some people. If you could generate the data way ahead of time, I'm talking about email address, the home address, any address they have and retarget that. I just to give you an example, I on my retail listings, I'll do about a $1,200 video on those. I'll do the interview. I'll have someone come out and do the footage. I'll run an I'll run like a penny ad on YouTube videos on
Hmm.
Google, and you could see from the time that I run that ad, the showings increase but tenfold on that listing. It's not based on MLS or it's based on the price, but you could see just by running a penny ad, and I mean penny ad, a cheap ad, like $10 a day on that video, 300 bucks a month, it increases dramatically. So if you could just think about maybe spending $10 a day on an ad like this, a
Hmm.
video content ad with another attorney interview, uh, I think it's going to be wild.
Absolutely. I would also encourage you to, if you're running paid ads, to have a separate campaign that only targets those that have already engaged on your website.
Yes.
Make those people that have already seen you once see you everywhere and think that you are everywhere. So back when I was running radio advertisements, then we're going to come to Regina. When I was running radio ads, we would run between 7 and 8 a.m. in the morning for 60 seconds, 3 days in a row. So we would do Monday, 7 to 8 a.m., 60-second ad, Tuesday, 60-second ad, 7 to 8 a.m., Wednesday. And all the ad execs and salespeople, they'd say, why not spread yourself across? You're only talking to this super small percentage of the population that's driving at that time, and that's kind of early. Why not run for the same price 30 ads and we'll sprinkle you for 30 seconds a piece through the day? And our answer was because we want that person that's driving between 7 and 8 a.m. to think that we're everywhere. We're not everywhere. They think that we're everywhere. And we would have people call and go, I saw your billboard. I got your letter. I didn't want to say I don't have a billboard and I didn't send a letter. I knew that it was radio that they'd called from because they thought that we were everywhere. And that's the trick. Make your audience think that you're everywhere, even though you're in a tight little pocket speaking
Yep.
directly to them. And I like that with your paid ad idea as well. I would encourage you to run a campaign. So maybe two campaigns, but one should be specifically to people that have somehow seen you before.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
It's
Cool.
a little technical, but it's be fun.
Yeah, it would be fun. So, and it is technical. All right. Regina, go ahead.
Hi, thanks for listening to my question. I got a referral from a probate attorney that I have a relationship with. She referred me to an administrator who is a realtor, and the situation is the property. It's a probate short sale, and the administrator has full authority. It's a VA loan, and the servicer is a United Wholesale Mortgage. The property had been on the market with a different realtor for 90 days. It did not sell, and property needs a lot of cosmetic work inside. They left a lot of animals. The house is gross. It's a mess. And so I was just wondering, is this even worth pursuing since the VA loan, has mortgage insurance? So I'm sure the lender is probably looking for a certain amount. I'm pretty sure we can get an investor offer right away, but I'm just concerned that as far as the approval because of the mortgage insurance tied to the
Mm-hmm.
loan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's gonna be tricky. Could it be done? A lot of it's gonna depend on the investor that's backing the loan, that's
Hmm.
backing that owns that loan. Some investors are gonna be super cooperative on settling. Other investors are gonna hold out for that insurance and wanna wait. Like they won't care. Um, the answer is nobody knows until you give it a try. And I hate to
Okay,
say
do you know
that.
do you know as far as the mortgage insurance how much they would receive off of the mortgage insurance payout?
Does anyone else know that? I don't know the answer to that one. Has anyone run into anything where you might know what insurance is going to pay? Um, it's not, I mean, it's not normally 100%. It's usually going to be, I would imagine, Okay. I'm winging it here, just so everyone knows. I would imagine that it's going to be a percentage of the original loan amount. Do you know what the original loan amount versus the current value of the property is?
Um, wow, the original loan amount, I think it was like four something, but I know I've done VA short sales before. I've
Hmm.
closed a VA short sale before, and they normally look for a certain percentage of the market value. I think it's like 90, at least 90% of market value. But
Well,
since
it's
this property needs a lot of work, it's going to be hard, to get in their box in terms of what they're looking for, is where I'm
mhm.
going with this.
So it's really going to be it's really going to be who the investor that we don't know. I'm sure there's a way to find the investor that's holding that or is that the trust that that mortgage is in. So you've got VA that's backing it. You've got the servicer that's servicing it, and then there's going to be a trust that owns that note with a couple thousand other notes. And the
Mm,
trust even though we know that VA is usually going to be 90 some percent of value, the trust might be 70% of value. The trust might say, hey, we're willing to hold out because we know there's an insurance payment coming. The
right.
trust might be give us 50% of value. It just depends on the how loose that trust is with letting go of their mortgages. So I don't think it's as simple as VA wants 90%. I think is the trust going to be cooperative?
Mm,
See if you can find out what trust or what insurance group, and normally they're going to own it in trust. What trust owns that package of mortgages, and start looking at it from that perspective. And then I absolutely would try to structure a short sale deal. I would make a go of it. We don't know until we can figure out what trust it is and see if we have anyone else with any experience with that particular investor. Some services are going to be easy to work with, some are going to be difficult, but it really all comes down to who owns that package, that mortgage package.
okay. Well, I know also, even though the administrator has full authority, they're also going to still need the probate referee to go out and give them an appraisal number, right?
Hmm.
So I was thinking maybe they should try and substantiate, send pictures and bids to the probate referee so they won't bring the number in too high on that end. And then the VA is going to send their own appraiser out. I just think for me personally, it might not be worth all of it's too risky for me to invest a whole lot of time in it.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah,
seems
there is
very
going to be a
risky.
time investment for potentially it just getting shot down. Is
Yeah.
the heir, the executor, are they willing to sell the house even though there's really nothing in it for them?
Well, yeah. In fact, when I talked to the administrator, I said, well, why are you doing it? Why don't you just let it go to foreclosure? Because there's no money in it. But she said she's trying to get the attorney probate attorney paid because they owe the attorney $25,000. She just wants to get the attorney paid.
Yeah. You may also attempt some kind of a settlement arrangement with the service provider,
Mm-hmm.
which would not be a short sale. You're essentially trying to get them to agree to restructure the amount owed
Mm.
outside of a short sale.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta, it's going to take a few hoops, but if they would restructure the amount owed, then you could get the family paid and you could get the house a little less than its current, it's hopefully a lot less than its current payoff. So
Mm.
I may go to the bank and say, "Hey, I'm looking to restructure the loan on this. It's upside down. It's in probate. What do I need to do?" This is something that not many people know how to do. I don't even know all the ins and outs of it, but I know that you can restructure, and some trusts that own the notes will absolutely restructure the amount owed if you make a compelling case, and they'll restructure it, and they won't even put an arm's length clause on there, but saying, "Hey, the seller has to sell." Now, this seller wants to sell, so that's why I would explore the idea of restructuring it. If you're doing a short sale, I'm not sure it's worth
Yeah.
pursuing. But if they'll restructure, absolutely, it would be worth pursuing. I would do a really good broker price opinion and be able to submit it with your request to restructure the loan.
Okay, Bruce, do you know anybody that provides that service? Because like I said, for me, a $5,000 commission is just not worth all that hassle for me.
Yeah, let me send me an email, Bruce at probatemastery.com.
Okay.
I've got someone that might. I'll connect you guys.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Perfect, guys. It's another successful hour. Do I have any last minute comments or questions? If not, I'll let everybody go. Nope. Appreciate everybody being here. If you have taken Probate Mastery in the past or are in it now, we're doing our session 4 of Probate Mastery on Thursday at 2 o'clock Eastern, 11 Thursday. Be looking at your email. If you haven't taken Probate Mastery, I encourage you guys to go ahead and jump into Probate Mastery at probatemastery.com and get the certification course. Lot of great value there for you guys. And if anyone is interested in coaching, book a discovery call on probatemastery.com. We'll run over the coaching programs with you. But I appreciate you guys being here. Johnathan, real quick, I was wrapping up. I saw your hand pop up. What do you have?
Oh yeah, this is for Pinnell. Pinnell, is he still on? Just for the group at all. I mean, this may
I
help
don't know
if Pinnell is
if
still on.
he's here. I don't think so. I think he dropped
Okay.
off. All right, cool. Thanks
Okay.
for
That's
trying.
all right. All right now. All right.
Appreciate everybody. Thanks so much.
Thank
See
you.
you next
Thank
week.
you.